This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's not the welcome to Winnipeg a family from France had hoped for. They're in town for the World Police and Fire Games, which open tonight. And they say they were misled by an Airbnb listing that turned out to be far from what they expected. CBC's Brittany Greenslade reports.
Sebastian Viola was excited to bring his family to Winnipeg to watch him compete in the World Police and Fire Games. But when they arrived at the Airbnb they booked, everything took a turn.
It's not what I want for my family. It's not good. Really, I'm French policeman. I don't see security there. I don't felt very good.
Viola says the outside of the home was covered in bags of garbage and the building was in bad condition. The code they were given to enter the house didn't work.
Our association is that we are not safe in this area.
The home is in William White, an area they were unfamiliar with. He says it wasn't what they expected based on the listing photos and the $220 a night price tag it came with.
We see some garbage near the house, a garden with a lot of garbage too. We see people without clothes.
Viola reached out to Airbnb, but went more than 16 hours waiting for a response. In the meantime, they had nowhere to stay and were out the money they already spent.
We spent for more than 1,000 euros for 6 nights. It's a lot of money. We're not rich.
Winnipeg Police Staff Sergeant Rob Duchin is the operations manager for the World Police Fire Games. He says he saw the distraught look on the families' faces later that day and stepped in.
We work together to help the public all the time, and we share that common bond of engaging for the good of other people. And when I saw one of my brother officers and his family in that state, I just felt there has to be a way to make it better for them.
Duchin put the family up in a hotel room for the night, and by Friday afternoon, the games organizers and the Fairmont stepped up to provide them a free room for their stay.
To have a family come and have a negative experience was something that I was just not prepared to accept as a proud Winnipegger and a proud member of our police service.
Airbnb tells CBC News the family will be getting a full refund due to the problems they had checking in. However, they say they encourage all guests to do their research on the area before booking. Brittany Greenslade, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba plans to double or even triple the amount of electricity it generates over the next 20 years. But new hydro dams are not on the table. CBC's Bartley Kivas reports.
After building 15 hydroelectric dams over the past 100 years, Manitoba Hydro has made this province the envy of the green energy world. 97% of the electricity Manitoba makes is entirely emissions-free. Nonetheless, Manitoba's looking to move on.
We're going to have to double, if not triple, our capacity. And that will require very smart and nimble decisions.
Nimble is not how anyone would describe Manitoba's most recent hydro dam, Kiask, the over-budget mega project on the Nelson River.
That last generating station exceeded the cost of the book value of all of our other generating stations combined, but created only 11% more capacity and doubled the debt of Manitoba Hydro to $22 billion.
That's why a new energy strategy unveiled by the province today calls for generating more power through other means, including private wind farms who will sell power to Manitoba Hydro. Manitoba's premier says this does not mean hydro is for sale.
Manitoba Hydro will remain the sole energy provider for Manitoba. That means any private providers will always need to sell power to hydro, and rates will always be set by the Public Utilities Board.
The energy strategy also calls for batteries capable of storing power generated during periods of low demand and the use of smart meters intended to encourage consumers to reduce energy use during peak periods. The official opposition claims that amounts to surge pricing.
If you need to use your AC during a hot day in the summer, the PC plan would see you paying more money on your hydro bill. We say that's wrong.
The energy strategy also calls for Manitoba to be picky about approving industrial projects that use a lot of electricity. The province is already talking to a German company that wants to build a $3 billion solar panel manufacturing campus. That would create 8,000 jobs, but there's a catch. The solar plant likely won't happen if the province doesn't approve a plan to drill for high-quality sand below the surface of Manitoba. Bertley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 20-year-old woman is now in police custody, charged with attempted murder, among other things. She's accused of stabbing a 6-year-old boy. Police says they were called to the borough's central neighbourhood around noon on Wednesday. They found the boy with serious injuries and gave him medical care using a chest seal. He's now in the hospital recovering. Police say the woman and the boy know each other. They're not releasing her name to protect him. The Child Abuse Unit is investigating. RCMP are asking for your help tonight locating a woman wanted for parental abduction. St. Pierre-Jolie RCMP say they've learned of a custody dispute involving 35-year-old Holly Malik. Police say they've determined Malik took her daughter with the intent to deprive the father of his parental rights. Her daughter, Amelia Dion Arain, is 3 years old. She has brown hair and brown eyes. Her mother is 5'3", 200 pounds, red hair, brown eyes. Police believe she may have changed her appearance. Anyone with information is asked to call RCMP. A pop-up warming shelter that opened this past winter will need to find a new location. The building that housed it on St. Mary's Road has been put up for sale, with the city saying the building needs at least $1 million in repairs. St. Boniface Street Links operated a temporary shelter in that building last winter and had hoped to acquire it when the city declared it surplus. The city says it always planned to sell the building. It's working to identify another place that could be designated a pop-up shelter in the case of extreme weather. The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service wants to remind all Manitobans of the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning and the need to have CO detectors installed on every floor of your home. An employee of a home building company died Wednesday evening of suspected carbon monoxide poisoning. When paramedics were called to this house under construction, they found 2 bystanders trying to help the person. Those bystanders and paramedics were taken to hospital for assessment and treatment. Workplace Safety and Health is investigating the death. It has issued a stop work order on a gas-powered pump thought to be the source of the carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide poisoning causes flu-like symptoms, including headache, nausea, dizziness, confusion, vision and hearing impairment, shortness of breath. If you suspect carbon monoxide in your home, get everyone outside to the fresh air and call 911. Winnipeg City Councilor John Orlico is taking a temporary leave from City Hall. The River Heights Fort Garry councillor says he's been experiencing physical health issues. He made the decision to take a leave after consulting his doctor, he says. He's also stepping aside as chair of the Community Services Committee and the Budget Working Group. He says his office will remain open. Extra staff have been hired to help his executive assistant. Mayor Scott Gillingham didn't expect this news, but he says he wishes Orlico a speedy recovery.
I've always appreciated working with Councilor Orlico. He was here when I got onto council in 2014, and I've worked closely with him. He's been really excellent to work with. Is still excellent to work with, and the focus right now is on Councilor Orlico's health.
Mayor Gillingham appointed rookie Charleswood Tuxedo Westwood Councillor Evan Duncan to replace Orlico as Community Services Chair. With the next provincial election almost 2 months away, the opposition parties made promises today on a subject top of mind for a lot of voters: healthcare. The CBC's Ian Fraze was there for us.
Healthcare workers, how many to train and how to keep them. The Liberals and NDP have ideas.
The quick fixes and band-aids that have been imposed on our system have left it broken.
We got to plug the hole that's in the bottom of the boat right now.
The Liberals on Friday unveiled much of their healthcare platform. New incentives to improve how health professionals are paid, creating more training seats, and building a Brandon campus for University of Manitoba's medical school. The Liberals would also get more people with international credentials working.
We need doctors who speak French. We need French services. and they left. 2 of them left in the last week.
Liberal leader Dougald Lamont promised more funding details closer to the election. Staff incentives will cost as much as $175 million.
When people ask what will this cost, healthcare is not a cost. It's an investment. It is an investment that everyone benefits from.
The NDP also talked healthcare.
We're going to train the next generation, and we're going to dramatically expand both the capacity and the ability to train those future healthcare workers.
Wab Kinew promised an expansion to University of Manitoba's medical school, costing around $150 million. Room to train more nurses, doctors, and nurse practitioners. Kinew couldn't say how many, but for nurses, the target is to eventually train an extra 300 once more nurse educators are hired.
It's not going to be just as simple as flipping a light switch and then all of a sudden we're able to train these new nurses.
The PC government says these announcements pale in comparison to what they're doing on health. This week, the Tories pledged an extra $200 million on recruitment and retention. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Indigenous elders and grandmothers held a ceremony this morning at the Brady Road landfill. They stood in solidarity with families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and to support calls for a search of the Prairie Green landfill for the remains of 2 Indigenous women. Elder Billy Shibler is a member of the Clan Mothers Elders Council. The Clan Mothers help provide healing to Indigenous people experiencing trauma. She says she was at the Brady landfill for a ceremony 12 years ago when Tanya Nepanek's body was missing.
The only thing that's changed in those dozen years is that there's more women there. There's more women, there's more Two-Spirit, there's our men there as well. And this cannot be a place where our people come to rest.
Premier Heather Stefanson defends her government's decision not to search out of concerns for safety. Shibler says she wants to talk about what's safe for her people who are not in the landfill. The City of Winnipeg has earmarked $10,000 for a test to see if it should use drones to larvicide for mosquitoes. It's contracted a private company to use a drone like this one to spread granular larvicide over standing water on 6 city-owned golf courses. The drone can only carry 10 kilograms of larvicide per flight. But it could also have advantages. Drones can work at night while golf courses, for example, are closed. And they can fly in areas near hydro lines and traffic where a helicopter might not be permitted. The Insect Control Branch will collect water samples like this one and crunch data to determine if the drone was as accurate and as efficient as ground crews. The city already owns a drone capable of applying larvicide. Our weather specialist, Riley Lachuk, joins us now. So will we be getting more showers and therefore more standing water?
Not for the Red River Valley. We could see some in northern parts of the province and in extreme western Manitoba. We'll talk about that as we get into your weekend forecast. I wanted to quickly look back on Thursday because we did see, or on Tuesday, we did see a tornado touchdown that we can now tell you has been confirmed in the Interlake. This area that you see here with this yellow arrow. This is the area just north of Gimli. Over here, you have Arborg up around this area here. This is Hecla Island, Beaver Creek, Manitoba. Preliminary EF0, kind of the default rating for tornadoes on the EF 0 to 5 scale. Top winds at 115 kilometers an hour. Still some investigation into the damage going on, but as far as been reported so far, some trees have been damaged. So that is the tornado touchdown that we can confirm. Tuesday, just over the supper hour in Beaver Creek, just to north and west of the Hecla area in the Interlake. So looking at satellite radar, not a lot to show you this afternoon. We did see some heavier clouds through the Red River Valley through the afternoon today. That did keep our temperatures down a little bit. That is starting to dissipate a little bit here as we get into the evening. And looking at our conditions as we get into the night tonight, you can see waking up tomorrow morning, mainly sunny skies across most of Manitoba. Still a little bit of cloud cover in the north, but I am keeping my eye on this here. So the models have been kind of pushing this a little bit further to the south as we have gone on through the day today, the different model runs, but there is a chance as we get through Saturday evening, I think, into Sunday morning, that we could see some showers in areas like Melita down through Delray and Boissevain over to Killarney. But like I said, the model runs have been kind of pushing us a little bit further to the south as we've gone through the day today. So the afternoon looking like a mainly sunny sky, a few clouds through parts of the province. Then we see another little frontal boundary kind of skirting its way along northern Manitoba here. Could bring some showers overnight Saturday into Sunday and into the later part of Sunday for parts of eastern Manitoba into the Sunday evening. Monday morning looks like we're going to be starting with a mainly sunny sky. 19 degrees in Winnipeg today, barely got to 20 this afternoon. Pressure rising at the moment. We'll see our winds to start to lighten up as we get into the night tonight, down to 9 degrees overnight tonight, 14 in the morning, I should say, tomorrow. Winds relatively calm as well. A few clouds in the sky. It's going to be a pretty gorgeous afternoon tomorrow, I think. Winds are going to be relatively light, 24 degrees in the afternoon, a couple degrees off normal for this time of the year, but overall not too bad. And that's kind of what we're going to see as we get across the rest of the province tomorrow. There's that chance of showers through Gillam and Island Lake tomorrow, 22, 23 degrees tomorrow afternoon. 24s for Brandon, Dauphin, Portage La Prairie, Morden, Winkler, mix of sun and cloud as we get through the afternoon tomorrow. Much the same for the southeast, sunny skies through the afternoon, and northwestern Ontario, Janet, looking nice as well. 22s and 23s for most of the region tomorrow, and mainly sunny skies.
Thank you very much, Riley. Check in with you a little bit later. Wee-Chee-Waakanak Learning Centre, in partnership with the Community Education Development Association, has organized an Indigenous STEAM summer camp. It's going on right now. It started July 10th. It'll continue until August 4th. Indigenous kids are given the chance to learn more about science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. CBC's Zabina Ahmed brings you the story.
1 teaspoon of water, okay?
Jasmine Anderson is making bath bombs using baking soda, oil, colors, and cornstarch. The 8-year-old from Fox Lake Cree Nation is taking part in the STEAM summer camp. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics with Indigenous teachings.
I'm planning to put it, to give it to my little sister for her to put in her bath.
Gracie Grift is teaching the chemistry behind these ingredients. As a Red River Métis, Grift is glad to help Indigenous kids learn about science. She's taking her master's in biology.
I'm just so glad to see kids from this area, as well as Indigenous students, being in science, because, you know, there's not always Indigenous representation in science, so it's so nice to be able to be here with the students and show them what's possible, showing them that they have their place in science.
Started in 2018, this free camp grew out of an Indigenous Math Leadership Summer program at the Wee-Chee-Waakanak Learning Centre. More than 200 students from grade 1 to 8, mostly from Indigenous communities, have registered this year.
The purpose of the camp is to expose Indigenous youth to lots of different areas of STEAM. I want to light the pathways to all of these different fields and let them know that this is something that they could do in the future.
Nelson is from the Rosa River Anishinaabe First Nation. She says Indigenous people aren't always represented in these fields.
We wanted to also create a sense of belonging for Indigenous youth on a university campus from a young age.
Besides learning about these interesting science experiments, the kids here at the Indigenous STEAM camp are also learning about robots, rockets, visual art, 3D design, video production, and outdoor field trips to zoos. Zabina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Coming up, Canada's economy grew in May. We dive into the data released today after the break. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Canada's economy was stronger in May than many analysts expected. Numbers out today show the 5th straight month of growth in our GDP, our gross domestic product. And that's despite recent challenges in the oil and gas sector. Business reporter Kyle Bax takes a closer look.
In spite of all the predictions of a possible recession or minimal growth this year, so far the country's economy is faring better than expected. The latest figures by Statistics Canada for May show growth of 0.3%. The number would have been even higher if not for wildfires in Western Canada hurting production in the oil patch. That sector had its worst month in 3 years. Oil patch companies are reporting their latest financial results this week, with several taking a profit and production hit because of the wildfires.
Almost everyone has commented that forest fires have impacted Q2 production. For the most part, though, a lot of it is just delays in terms of tying in new wells or precautionary measures that took some production offline. But for the most part, no major infrastructure was burnt down, and Q3, Q4 production looks like it's back and catching up here.
If you think back to the start of the year, most economists, myself included, we're calling for at least a shallow downturn this year, and we haven't really seen that yet. So I would say overall the economy has hung in there, and it's dealt with a lot in the last year. So the fact that it managed to grind out even modest growth, I think, is actually pretty encouraging.
Still, Statistics Canada says early data for June is pointing toward a slight drop in the economy. Several economists say at this time the Bank of Canada is unlikely to hike interest rates further. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Toronto.
Payments start going out today for people who receive the Canada Workers Benefit. The money's for workers with low-wage jobs. It's intended to keep them working rather than have them turning to social assistance. This payout used to be annual, but now it's going to be deposited throughout the year. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland explains why.
People said to us that money would make much more of an impact if we could get it paid out through the year. If we could use it to pay our bills, maybe not have to borrow some extra money, not have to pay some interest. And so we listened, and people are now going to start getting that support in quarterly payments.
So what will the weather be like on our weekend and starting the new work week? Riley's back with your 7-day forecast after the break.
All right, your 7-day forecast looks like this. A few pleasant days on tap for us here. Varying amounts of mix of sun and cloud over the next 3 days. Normal is 26, so we're going to be above normal again by the time we get to Sunday and Monday. Next chance of some showers comes on Tuesday. Humid day, so I think we could see some thunderstorms later in the day on Tuesday with a high of 32 degrees, a 30 for Wednesday, and then temperatures back toward normal by the time we get to the later part of next week. The Wag Kumayuk celebrates what it calls living art this weekend.
Members of the Bonsai Society of Winnipeg, which I'm suddenly very interested in, have nearly 50 of their creations scattered throughout the galleries. And that, my friends, is your Daily Lift.
Hi, I'm Scott Sampson, president of the Winnipeg Bonsai Society, and we're here this weekend at the Winnipeg Art Gallery to showcase 50 of the best trees in central Canada. If you have any interest at all in bonsai, you should not miss this opportunity to come down and see what's here. We've worked for over the last 40 years to try and hone our craft to get it up to the art level of being fine art, and we've been recognized finally, and we're honored to be in the building in amongst the masters' paintings and the fantastic works of art, the Winnipeg Art Gallery. Opportunity not to be missed.
Amazing. Just imagine the amount of time and love it took to prune everything.
Those are so cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
Apparently they go out and they find twisted Manitoba trees, like local trees that can make good bonsai trees, which I find fascinating. I'm going with them. Good night.